What's going on, good people? Kyle back again. I know it's been a couple weeks, so like I said, I'm going to try to post more. I'm going to try to make that effort for you. Got a lot of good feedback on the last video, a lot of comments. So again, thank you guys for watching. Like I said, hopefully this helps you. But today, again, I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible. If you hear my washer in the background, I apologize. I'm also trying to do laundry, priorities. So today I want to talk about this guitar. This is the Kramer Neptune, or that's what its nickname is. Okay. This guitar, actually let me do it this way and make sure it looks right side up, because we'll talk about what's on the back here. Now again, this is not 100% accurate, but this was a very, very fun build. This is actually probably my favorite guitar to actually play. Not the favorite one that I own, but my favorite one to play. It's really more so a parts guitar, and it just happened to come into be into what it was. I used to work at the Hard Rock Cafe on Hollywood Boulevard, probably like, let me think, 1 year, probably, God, it's been that long, damn near 10 years ago. All right, so this guitar was actually right by the walk-in and outdoor to the kitchen. So as you would walk towards the kitchen, there was like a huge sign that says "Love All, Serve All," and right underneath it is this Kramer Neptune guitar, the actual Neptune guitar. There's a huge history and story behind this. This guitar isn't one of the more popular Eddie Van Halen guitars, because, good God, look at it. It looks like it's been to hell and back, right? But it was one of those guitars that was so ugly that I actually thought that it was really cool. And this, like I said, this one was a very, very fun guitar to do. So again, I'll kind of go part by part, kind of how I did it, if this is a guitar that you would like to do. So without further more, let's start off with the body. So the body's a little interesting, because this body is actually a Kramer 3000, I believe is what it was. It was like a 3000 ST, something along those lines. If you put in Kramer 3000, just about anything, you're going to find the body of this guitar. I want to say I spent about $150 on it, and the reason why I got this one was because the neck pocket is a little bit more narrow, because it's Kramer, and also I always noticed that the shape of the Neptune guitar was a little bit different than other ones. Now again, I can't tell you verbatim what the actual body was, but this is one that I happened to pick up that I thought was relatively close. And again, mine's not 100% accurate. Again, only the real one's 100% accurate. But this guitar actually turned out really, really, really cool. And I love the way that it turned out. So that's the body. And the body, I didn't know this either, but Kramer, way back in the day, some of their bodies were made of plywood. So it's multiple layers of plywood. I didn't know that until I sanded the sucker. I was like, I'll be damned. I was like, this thing is made of plywood. Plywood's dirt cheap. So imagine how much money they were making off this stuff. But I tell you, this guitar sounds freaking great. It really does. And I don't say that, there's, obviously, people are going to be biased with any guitar they have and be like, oh, this is the greatest guitar, it sounds so good. And I hope that it would, that if you own it and you bought it. But this guitar, considering it's a parts guitar put together by a bunch of stuff, all of the ingredients, this thing plays immaculate and it sounds freaking amazing. Like I said, as far as rock guitar, this is my go-to. As ugly as it is, it's cool. But without further more, continuing on the journey here. The neck is a Musicraft Holy Grail neck. So it's a banana style neck. But if you notice the headstock, the curvature, I'm going to do this without dropping it. It's a lot more hockey stick and it's thinner. The actual banana headstock's a little bit thicker, a little bit rounder, a little bit longer. This one's a little bit shorter. Now, this is not the exact neck that was on the Neptune, because the Neptune, if you look at photos, it's the neck, it's a little bit stubbier, you know? I mean, it's probably even about this much shorter. But I couldn't find any headstocks that were that short. So again, that's one thing that's wrong with mine. But yeah, the neck, I want to say it's 6105 frets. They're nickel. I didn't do stainless steel. It doesn't have the skunk stripe on the back because honestly, like an idiot, I totally forgot. That's why I tell you guys in the last video, don't forget the skunk stripe, because it's easy to forget about, and it just slipped my mind. Who cares though? It plays great. The neck is my favorite neck, literally ever. This neck, and I can't remember for the life of me which profile it was. Yeah, I want to say it's definitely an asymmetrical neck for the neck profile, and it's 10 to, I want to say 10 to 16 or 10 to 12 compound radius. I think it's 10 to 16. Shit, could be 10 12. It's one of those two, man. I can't remember. I couldn't find the order to save my life. I was trying to find it before I did this. But I couldn't find it, so I gave up. But the profile was asymmetrical. I think it's the artist. It's like 80, or like 79 to like 83, 81, something like that. But it's a very, very small neck. It's almost... It's definitely flatter towards here, so that it's definitely a 10-inch. But then as it goes down, I want to say it's 12 because it's not much of a difference here as far as thickness. It's still relatively flat and barely rounder. But this thing plays like freaking butter. It really does. I'll have to do a sound clip in another video some other time because I just really want to talk about this project. Now, I'm not going to recap verbatim everything because it's very similar. Every build's a little similar when it comes to the Van Halen stuff. But there you go. So again, that's the neck. It's 10-inch tuner holes. I got the Schallers on there. Those are harder to find nowadays, so good luck on that. Not impossible, but harder. So yeah, Kramer 3000 body. I sanded this sucker down. It was like almost like an Olympic white color. It was like an off-white, whatever their off-white color is. I think Olympic white is strictly for Fender. But again, it was an off-white color, and you can actually see it, I believe, right here. As you can see, because where I tell you guys to make sure you either get all the paint off or wait for it to dry or whatever else, or be careful what frickin' tape you use. I used pinstripe tape on this bad boy, and it ripped the paint off. And you can see it underneath the coat. This is one area that I was not able to sand very well because I sanded it off all by hand instead of using a belt sander. I couldn't afford a belt sander at the time, and I did this by hand and think I suffer from carpal tunnel to this very day because of that. But yes, body and neck. Paint is pretty much the same thing as the 5150 was. It's all duplicolor. I did universal white. Then I used, for the red, it's still the Chevy orange, because this color is the exact same as the 5150. It was the same paint that was used for both, which tells me that they were probably both built around the same time, or, I mean, they just had a slew full of that color, I guess. But, I mean, if you look at a lot of Ed's guitars, there's not a lot that happen to have that orangish-reddish tint to it. So, again, that Chevy orange, the enamel that you can get. Again, I've talked about that in my 5150 video. And then I used universal black for the black stripes. I looked at a lot of photos. Again, I actually took photos of this guitar when I worked at Hard Rock. And again, mine's not 100% accurate. I consider this like a tribute guitar, okay? because it was impossible for me to figure out what shape, what size the tape was for everything. So I really eyeballed it because, again, I just really wanted to build this guitar because I just thought it looked really cool, but I wasn't really trying to get like 100% accurate on it. Without further ado, let's go ahead and just go over electronics. This is a original Floyd Rose. I did use wood screws for it. I can't tell if you can tell. Sorry, this is all backwards to me still. The pickup is a Seymour Duncan custom. This pickup is badass. If you're going for 80s rock, and again, maybe it's just because all the components and everything with this put together, I was very surprised that this guitar sounded as good as it did considering it's a plywood body. I was like, plywood? Come on. I was like, that's such a cheap way to go, Kramer. Come on. What are we doing? The guitar sounds phenomenal, and it's super light. Super light. This guitar is maybe only, 5 pounds, a little over. It's virtually nothing. It's very light. Saves your back. But again, Seymour Duncan custom. Thing is phenomenal. It's the zebra pickup, more of a cream and black. I know they can make a white one too. It is also at an angle like this, just like on the other one. Sorry, someone's walking their dog. Thought they were gonna look at me. I was gonna feel weird for a second. Not that I care. Pickup selector switch, just a random one. Notice it's not like all rusted up like on the Frankie or anything like that. And then this is just some BS pickup I had that I took the white cover off. I actually think it may not even be a BS one. It might be one of my Texas specials that I'll probably just have it in there for looksies and probably could have put it in something else. I didn't have anything else at the time. Sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. The Pickguard I made, I got this tip from Rob Johnson, because like I said, that dude's a slew full of information. Sorry, I need a drink. I handmade this because if you look at the Frankie Pickguard, the way it's cut, it's a lot, it's not quite as tall as this one, because look how far up, this comes. So it comes up, and it looks like a real pickguard, but it's not. I actually cut this out of a Rubbermaid trash can that I got, and that was a tip that I got from one of Rob Johnson's videos. And I was like, how can I custom make my own pickguards? Because pickguards are like, $50 or more sometimes, depending on who you get it from. And it still may even fit your guitar or be exactly the way you want it or this or that. So I did a little stencil with like a white chalk, and then I cut it out. And listen to it. It doesn't sound like plastic. And this point right here is so sharp, you'll cut yourself. I don't know why I didn't solder that, melt it, or sand it. I didn't care. So this guitar could kill someone, I guess. Volume knob. It's just the normal non-friction potentiometer. It's a tone knob. It's a white one. The jack plate, I cannot think of anything today. I haven't had coffee yet. Is gold, but it's actually supposed to be reverse. But because that would have drove me nuts, I didn't do that on mine. Okay? But yeah, it's supposed to be flipped around. Aside from that, I got a Kramer neck plate from eBay before these things were worth way too much money. Aside from that, the eye hooks I got, the usual, Lowe's, Home Depot, you can get these things. But again, I had to really eyeball the tape. And again, I would use painter's tape, don't use pinstripe tape. You saw how that turned out. But it's really, you can just kind of go off the same sizes if you got the 5150 sizes, which is, I think it's like 3/4 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch, and I don't remember what the other size was. That's really going to be all the size tape that you'll need. Everything else, you just kind of get painter's tape, put it on a paper plate, and you can take a permanent marker and draw out the shapes, like the little thing here. You can draw out that shape and then cut it out with an X-Acto knife and then just put it on there. So what I ended up doing first was all of the I did the big stripes first. First I painted it white, okay? For this video, we're gonna try to make this way shorter than the last one. Painted it white first, okay? After I sanded it down and killed myself. Painted it white and then taped it up. So I did the big stripes first and then I did the smaller stripes. I don't know why I did that. There's no right or wrong reason to. You just do what you want. But I did the bigger stripes first. And then I did the tiny stripes. And it's very hard to make the tape, curve and all that. So again, take your time. I feel like I didn't really necessarily rush this one, but I took more of my time along with the black stripes than I did anything else. Those things turned out perfect. I couldn't have asked for the black stripes to turn out any better. And all the little blotches. And there is a story behind this about why it looks like shit. Again, it's a video for another time. I'm not trying to cover the history of it. It's just, if it's something you want to know, I can. But there's other videos out there of that. I haven't seen a lot of guitars of the Kramer Neptune or tribute guitars or builds. It's not a very popular guitar, but again, I thought it looked really cool. It's behind the 5150. It's my second favorite Kramer guitar, and then probably the 84. My phone's getting blown up right now. So I'm gonna cut this video a little bit shorter. So then you get your white on here, and I already told you kind of how to make the shapes and all that stuff, right? You're gonna, cut it out with an X-Acto knife, yada, 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 yada. Same thing with like the arrow. I did that with, tape, cut it out. On the back, there is, however, a number 1. Now, these two stripes are a little bit too thick. But again, I just cut all this out by hand and put it on here, but it's a number 1. It looks backwards to me right now, so it's really messing with me. But to you guys, it's looking right. Number 1, okay? So I painted it red. Now the last part is the black. So the black, what I did first was, again, cover it with like, I use like grocery bags, because at least that's plastic. If you do newspapers, it might bleed through or something along those lines. But I use grocery bags, and I would put a piece of tape where I wanted the black tape, okay? I would put the tape there. Don't worry about the circles. I would put the tape there, okay? And then what I would do is I would then put other pieces of tape next to that, then grocery bags next to it to cover the rest of the guitar, and then I would peel this tape off, and now I have like almost like a stencil of exactly where I want it, right? Again, wasn't doing this yet either, so I'd have tape here, and then this would all be open. And then I would take my can, I'd go real heavy, kind of here, but then let up towards the end, because this is where it starts to fade. And then I would just lift up real quick. Again, take your time with this stuff, because if you rush it, you're going to have to sand it, start the hell all over again, especially with the black, because it goes on last, it goes on the top. Then I did the same thing down here. Again, not the circles. Don't worry about the paint drips. We'll get to that in a second. But I did some kind of shape like here, for the thickness. And then black down here. I did a full black stripe here. Again, we'll get to how we did that. Okay. Then what I did was then I went back and then I cut out tape like as a circle. And then I would spray paint that. Still leaving all my bags on. I just, go over it. Put a full circle or a shape that's kind of relatively close to this size. Look at your photos. This one was a hard one to get. I'll have you. There you go. You can see a little bit closer now. Okay. Oops. So then you cut out, or you do your circle, you paint that black. Then what you did was you take your round edge X-Acto knife, the more rounded edge, okay? Rounded, there's a camera, Kyle. And then I would just, gradually, hit these spots here in Relicate, just like when you look at your photos. And this should actually be more far over. So I would actually, before you do any kind of taping, I would probably do this first to make sure this is in the right position because it's supposed to be a little farther over. But again, that was a lesson learned. I did this towards the end like an idiot, and then it's not got a whole lot of room. It's close in the area, but again, I screwed up. That's why I'm telling you not to. Now, as you relic it, and you do all your scratches and all your little pings and dings and all that stuff, I then went through and I did the paint drips here, where Eddie took the can and just dripped how it dripped. Now, you want to know how I did that? Sharpie. That is the game changer. I can't control a paint drip. I don't know how that's going to drip. If you guys want to do that and make it look more realistic, the more power to you, but there's no way. I mean, maybe it's possible. I don't know. I couldn't figure out a way. This is a technique that I did. And so I just drew it with a permanent marker for it to drip down and make it look like that. Same thing here, because I can't control the paint drips. Now, because it's a brand new Sharpie, it looks exactly like the paint, so it almost looks like it dripped, right? So I think it turned out pretty good for it not being an actual paint drip. Same thing with, this one. Man, my phone is literally getting blown up. Nobody wants to get a hold of me until I'm doing something. Ain't that life? Man. Okay. And again, I'm going to give you guys the edges here. Again, mine's on 100%. Perfect. But I mean, take your photos. That way you can see the edges and you kind of got an idea on what's going on. I'll show you the back. Take your photos. Snapshot this. Okay, and that is the Kramer Neptune. I mean, it wasn't necessarily hard, but at the same time it was. I did really take my time on this, and at the same time I rushed it. But the black stripes is what took the most time in the small stripes, just figuring out where that was. Because again, there's no diagram, there's no. Back when I made this, hell, I don't even think I had an iPad at the time. So if you do an iPad and you blow up a photo and then you make like the body around the same size as the actual body you have, that's a good tip there to figure out maybe the size of the tape. Just food for thought. Blow up your photo and maybe figure out what the exact size tape is and the placement. A lot of people are really talented out there. They can make templates, decals, things of that nature to make it a lot easier for you. So, or vinyl stickers or whatever. But again, that's the Kramer Neptune, man. And like I said, this guitar turned out really cool. There's a lot of, not like I said, a lot of history, but a lot of it's a really cool story about how this guitar came to be. And this wasn't necessarily one of Ed's #1 guitars. It wasn't anything that was really big. But it wasn't a magazine, and it's got a really funny story behind it also. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Like I said, this is a shorter video. The 5150 had a lot more going into it. Again, if you want more tips and tricks outside of that, like I said, I hope this was enough to help you. I don't know. I just didn't want to do another 45-minute video. It took forever to upload. Not that I don't care to, but I wanted to at least get some content out there for you guys. And if you want me to go in more detail than that, I can. But that's really the gist. You're not really missing anything else. Pretty much every build's almost the same techniques. But again, I just want to give you guys to let you know how I did it. If this is something you want to do for yourself, or maybe you'll do it better. And if you got one, shoot me photos, shoot me a message or whatever else. Like, I'm totally open to it, to see how, this has turned out for you guys, how it's looking, this and that. And like I said, I really appreciate you guys watching. I just do this strictly for fun and because I enjoy it. And I'm not going to just talk about Van Halen guitars too. I got other guitars too that I'll talk about, but I know that the builds are really something that I'm very passionate about and I enjoy. I'm actually waiting for a body to dry right now. But again, if you guys have any questions, if I can help you in any way, I will do my absolute best. And as always, thanks for watching, and have a great rest of your day or whatever it is that you do. Okay. All right. Bye-bye.